bringing it all.
This is the movie everyone's talking about right now. It's called The Odyssey, directed by Christopher Nolan and starring a plethora of Hollywood's elite. Box office sales have hit more than 900 million Australian bucks. And in Australia, it set a 2026 opening weekend record with a $13.4 million haul.
Some are even going as far as saying that this film has changed cinema forever.
Mainly because of the way it was shot on 70mm IMAX film.
And then there's the story. Now, I could warn you about spoilers, but The Odyssey is more than 2,000 years old, and you're probably already familiar with it, even if you don't realise it.
It's hardly the first retelling of The Odyssey, or Homer's other epic, the Iliad.
Now I can return to Ithaca.
No, not that Homer. The Homer in question looked like this. Maybe. And he was a poet who lived in the 8th or 9th century BCE. Maybe.
The story of the Odyssey, like lots of these Greek epics, actually comes from a long oral history tradition of telling epic poetry in the archaic Greek period and long before. So we think that this was probably part of that oral epic poetry tradition.
Oral performances were the go-to form of documenting history and entertainment long before cinema or Hollywood or even books as we know them existed.
What's a book?
Then, at some point around the 8th century BCE, someone decided to write down whether this was one person called Homer or a group of people, and eventually it came into being the Odyssey that we know today.
The story follows Odysseus, the legendary king of Ithaca, on a 10-year journey home from the city of Troy after the Trojan War. That was the one with the Greeks in the big wooden horse. Along the way, he has to overcome challenges from monsters, sea creatures, and gods, while his wife Penelope and son Telemachus, back in Ithaca, battle against invaders who try to take the throne by pressuring Penelope to marry one of them, insisting that Odysseus is dead. Eventually, Odysseus does make it home, where he and Telemachus kill all of the invaders and restore peace in the kingdom.
Even if you don't know the story, you probably know the formula.
Hero goes on journey, overcomes seemingly impossible challenges in a triumph of love conquering fear, wisdom over brutality, and good over evil.
We look at Marvel comic books or the Marvel movies. These often have a similar kind of heroic arc to them that we get through the Odyssey, but also through other ancient myths like the Iliad, with the heroes of Achilles and Hector, the Trojan prince, and Agamemnon, who go through similar sorts of heroic arcs in slightly different ways.
Experts like Emlyn say it's a deeply satisfying narrative structure that appeals to audiences as much today as it did thousands of years ago.
The original Greek poem, the original Homeric epic poem, as well as Christopher Nolan's new movie, have these constant themes throughout them of homecoming, but also of perseverance and belonging and loss and dealing with grief.
The Greek epics have also been educational tools since at least the Roman times, teaching language, literacy, and narrative structures. But these stories have also been adapted and changed to suit different generations.
It's a widely translated poem, and every time it's translated, it takes on new meanings, new adaptations. People reinterpret it, set it in their own context, so it kind of shifts and changes every time that it goes through this process of translation.
There's been a lot of debate about how historically accurate films like this should be.
And Nolan has copped criticism from some for his choices when it comes to costuming, casting, and characterization.
But others have pointed out that the original is largely based in myth, legend, and fantasy anyway.
How much of the events and the activities that happen around these epic poems are real or are made up, a lot of that's unknown, and of course a lot of it is narrative fiction that these authors and these poets 3,000 years ago are using to bring to life these stories and these moral histories that they're really trying to convey.
Emlyn says that while the way we tell stories like the Odyssey have changed over the years and will continue to change, the themes of Homer's epics are as relevant as they ever were.
geopolitical events today have parallels to what's happened 2,000-3,000 years ago, and we can learn lessons by looking back on these and seeing how people reacted, how people responded, how they dealt with it. I can't see our society changing in such fundamental ways in the future, so I think that this will be something that people will continue to think about, continue to be interested in, and continue to reinterpret in their own ways long into the future.